Hello folks, and welcome to Formula One Paddock Pass here in Austin, Texas. And it's raining, as it will be, we believe, for most of the weekend. Lucky we weren't here on Monday. Apparently Monday was the coldest day since records began here in Austin, Texas. There has been torrential rain, flooding. It always gets biblical when we're here. I say always, most of the time anyway. We have some pretty sketchy weather, but this weekend promises to be one of those years. It promises to rain, not just today, as you can see, but into tomorrow for practice. It's going to bucket it down for qualifying, so we understand, but it should be dry come Sunday for the race. So, yeah, that to contend with. That should be interesting. And, of course, a Formula One World Championship which hangs not so much in the balance, but edging towards confirmation of Lewis Hamilton as a 5-time Formula One World Champion. Of course, it's not over yet. Still 100 points to play for, and anything can happen. All it takes is one retirement. All it takes is one thing to go wrong at Mercedes, and all of a sudden the momentum swings back and the championship is back on. But you've got to think, from the form that Hamilton and Mercedes have shown recently, to come here, fingertips, is it a grasp on that championship trophy? Let's ask Lewis Hamilton himself. Does he feel that it's there? Does he change his mindset, his process coming into this weekend? Or is it just one of those things that he can't think about until he knows 100% that that championship is his?
The thing is, I've been racing such a long time, I can think about it or I can not think about it. It doesn't make a single difference. I've been in the past many years, the pressure was building up and I was batting off these questions from everyone saying, oh, you could this, and definitely it was hard to not let that get to your core, but for some reason more than it's an improvement, I guess, in how comfortable I am within myself. But I'm generally just super focused on trying to make sure I do the same job as that I have done in previous races. Want to operate at my best this weekend, and I don't care if it's now or in Abu Dhabi, but I want to win every race from now. And that's my sole goal. Just want to make sure I perform. I've really been proud of some of the performances this year, and really of my team. And but it could also go completely. Look, it's raining. It's going to be raining tomorrow. Lots of things could happen. There's 100 points still available. People talk about one hand on the title and stuff, and that's, for me, it's ridiculous because there's not. You either have it or you don't, and we don't currently have it. So that means the same approach, the same hard drive is needed.
Toto said one of the biggest things that's made the difference from a team perspective, certainly since Spa, has been making sure that everyone's had fun. What's been the biggest difference for you? What's made the difference for you this season?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that doesn't necessarily resonate with me exactly, but he might be talking about the positive energy in the team, I guess. But I think what great thing about Toto, and the reason he is, I think, the best boss here in Formula One, is because he really thinks out the box, and he thinks, you know what, we are all different individually. How can I help you be the best you can be? What do you need? You got problems. We all have problems in our life. Take the pressure off here, would that help you do better? Yes. If your seat is facing that way, would it help you better? All these different things. And he does that for all of us. And me personally, naturally being in this team, I've been out to be myself from day one. I told him when I joined, I said, I'm not going to join unless these are the things I want to do, that I'm going to do. And they've never gone back on that word. And also this team has a great mentality in the sense they really do want to do whatever it is to make the driver feel the best they can feel to produce the best results. And for me, I've really got myself centered. I'm doing all the things I want to do, and no one really can ever say anything about it. And those things and decisions I've made have gone well for me, and then I'm just enjoying. I leave the garage and drive up the hill, and I got the biggest grin on my face because I freaking love driving this car, and I love driving Formula One. I love competing, and more than I ever have, because I don't have all these ghosts or worries or things that are pressuring my mind, and just go out there and just be me and enjoy driving the car.
So we've heard from Lewis, but what about that guy? It looked so much like it was going to be Sebastian Vettel's year, and as Lewis says, it's not over until it's over. Is there anything that he can do, anything that he can change? As we said, 100 points still up for grabs. It ain't over yet. Does he believe that?
Well, I think it's very simple. Obviously, we are quite some points behind. We focus on winning, and then we see what the others are doing. So it's quite straightforward, to be honest.
And
do you reflect on everything that's gone on in the last, let's say, 2 months?
I don't. I mean, I do, but I don't. Not now. I think it's not the right time. I think now is the time to focus on the next races. So obviously, it's not always easy not to reflect too much, but I don't think it's much point now to start thinking too much about what happened. I think it's still something that is we have in our hands to change, and that's what we look forward to.
Honorary Texan Daniel Ricciardo, he loves this place, came out here earlier in the week and has been having an awful lot of fun in the Lone Star State. It's one of the races he looks forward to the most, and always tells us that he goes on a diet before he arrives here because he likes to stuff his face with the local barbecue. The good news for Daniel Ricciardo is that the weight limit for drivers will increase next year. That's not so they can eat barbecue, that's just a regulation to stop the drivers from having to, really starve themselves and become almost emaciated. We've seen over recent years trying to get their weight down, because Formula One designers like their drivers to be about 5'0" and weigh 35 kilos. That would be the perfect driver height and weight. Anyway, here is Daniel, a man who loves being back in Austin, even if the weather's a little bit peaky.
I got here Saturday, because there was the Longhorns game Saturday afternoon. So literally flew in, went straight to the game. It was awesome, and had barbecue that night and nearly every night since.
There's the new weight limit for next year. Does that make you happy, or is that just for the American race?
Makes me happy. Makes me happy. I genuinely don't think I would. What am I going to say?
I don't think you'd be overweight.
So more from like a training point of view. Like, it sounds silly, but we hardly do any strength training because we just put on muscle and mass, and that's the weight. So just from a training point of view, I think we'll actually be able to do more fun stuff, but also stuff that serves a purpose. So a lot of the time now we just do cardio to keep the weight down and a little bit of strength, but nothing. So more from a training point of view, it'll actually be more beneficial for us to have that weight.
4 races left with Red Bull. Is it sort of getting to an emotional time where you realise that you're kind of ticking them off? Or is it more just sort of excitement about what stands ahead and wanting to leave with a big positivity at the end of the year?
Yeah, I'm glad there's more races this year. I want the opportunity to still have some big results, whilst I'm with Red Bull and finish strong and just go well. And I think once it's all done, then the excitement and attention will move to Renault. But right now it's all in with Red Bull and just try and make the most of obviously a pretty decent car this year.
And so to the local team, it's been quite the journey for Haas this year. From the first race, 4th fastest car, we assumed, to the fight still for that 4th place in the championship. Renault seemingly have gone off the boil of late, leaving Haas in a pretty good position, you've got to say, with 4 races remaining, to take that fight ultimately for 4th place. Let's talk to Romain Grosjean, a guy who's had an up and down year, but shall we say a guy who's very much glass half full. Or not. Anyway, he's back for another year next year with Kevin Magnussen. That consistency of the driver lineup really bringing some benefits to the team going into next year.
Very much looking forward to race here. I guess on 3 years with Haas is the first time we come with a very competitive car in Austin. So that's a great start of the weekend. We'll see what the weather is doing. I think it's going to be a bit tricky, but very much looking forward to the race and to try to bring some good points back home and a great show for our fans.
Do you have some confidence in this fight for 4th place that Renault have seemingly tailed off over the last couple of races?
Yeah, they have tailed off. I think that they've been lucky a little bit as well, and we haven't had much luck neither on our side. But I think it's a great fight. It's a great challenge for us, and really it's a good test on the team to step up our game. Because we know there's 4 Grand Prix left, there's 8 points in between the two of us, and that's probably going to go into the last lap in Abu Dhabi. So I think it's great to know that, and to know that it's probably the first time that the team is getting into that pressure zone. But it's a great thing, and it's very positive to learn for the future.
You've been there right from the very start. Obviously, you and Kev confirmed again for next year. What's the general vibe around the team at the moment? What's the atmosphere like, knowing that you've got that sort of consistency that you can take through for another year?
Yeah, the atmosphere is great. The team is going well, and this year has been really very positive for everyone in the team. You know, we normally start pretty well and then we would go back in the order, but this year we're staying there, we're keeping fighting, and then most of the time being best of the rest, which is incredible. So the atmosphere is amazing. I think everyone is happy to work with Kevin and myself, and we've got a good relationship. And clearly keeping the consistency in the team is very important.
Of course, one of the fun things with coming to a Grand Prix is you're never quite sure who's going to turn up on the weekend. And so it was today. Clint Bowyer down at Haas, as one might expect, given that he does race, of course, for Stuart Haas in NASCAR. And with his eyes on the biggest prize of all, great of him to take a couple of hours out of a very, 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 very busy schedule to come down to Austin. You again, man! Yeah, to talk about Formula One and NASCAR. Idiot.
Man, what a spectacle. First and foremost, I'm a racer. How about this racetrack? I mean, as soon as I laid eyes on it, the elevation changes, everything that you see, I just love. I would give anything to get our cup cars down here.
Do you reckon they go well around here?
Oh, yeah. I think it put on a hell of a show. But these F1 cars put on a good show, too. You know, it's just exciting for motorsports. As somebody that's from the U.S., loves, you know, all forms of racing. I don't care if it's late model racing, sprint car racing, or F1 or Cup. I love a good race, and, you know, I'm excited for everybody that gets to see this once a year.
Do you guys keep much of an eye on what Haas F1 team's doing?
Oh, absolutely. You know, obviously, the closeness that we have, you know, with Gene coming to our races and being able to talk F1. Being able to talk F1. I mean, did you hear what I just said? You know, that's so cool to be able to share, you know, those conversations and talk F1 with them. But the splash that he's made, you know, comes into this thing doing something that's really unheard of. And to make the splash and make the points and do the job that they're doing is just incredible. It really is exciting to see.
Talking about making a splash, you're not having a bad season.
Yeah, we're having a great season. You know, coming off last weekend, it's kind of a telltale of our season, running 1, 2, 3, 4 with all 4 of our Stuart Haas cars. You know, that's just the dedication, the investment that Gene Haas and Tony Stewart and everybody's made for us. That's why I wasn't surprised when Gene went over to F1 and you know, has the success he has over here. He's a racer. It's exciting to see him over here, but more importantly, selfishly, I'm really excited that he's over on our Cup side.
Well, selfishly as well, for you, you've got a chance at the big prize, and you're returning home this weekend in that position. Is that an exciting place to be, or a little sort of trepidation, a little nervous returning home in that place?
It's all exciting to go home, but hey, man, there's a lot on the line. Stakes have never been higher. Been a while since I've had a shot at a championship. We're in it. We're 6th in points. We're 21 of the good, but we got to take care of business. 21 points seems like a lot, but the way our stage formats and everything are, you can lose that right off the bat in the first stage. So got to go there and take care of business. If we do that, we'll be in that round of 8, and then if we can get inside that, I got some really good racetracks, some with the tracks that we won out in the spring in Martinsville that are coming up. So I'm hoping for a big weekend here at home in Kansas. And if we can do that, I think we'll have a shot at a homestead and a championship.
Force India have confirmed their first driver for 2019. Shock, horror, big surprise. It's Sergio Perez. I don't think that was ever really in doubt, was it? Like every year, Checo's like, I'm not going to tell you. You know, it could be anywhere. It could be off anywhere. No, it was pretty much always going to be coming back here, wasn't he? So that is confirmed. Sergio Perez back for another year. Let's catch up with the Mexican. Obviously, it's his home race next week, but delighted to be back with Force India, a team that he's now spent so long, achieved so much, and of course helped so much this year by taking the team into the administration process that ultimately allowed the team to be saved and to survive into 2019 with increased investment and new opportunities. Congratulations. Was there ever any doubt that you would be coming back to Force India next year?
Thank you, and no, there was no doubt. It was very clear that both parties we wanted to continue, and when you have that clearance, it's always quite clear.
Obviously, the team has new owners going into next year, new owners that have promised a lot of investment, potentially a new factory. There's so much potential going forward. Having been at this team for quite a while, what do you see the future as being?
Yeah, I think I'm really enthusiastic. You know, I think the impact is going to be straight away. We have the people, we need the budget, and now we have more budget in place. So it's going to be, I think, definitely a change, straight away change. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
And how about having the boss's son as your teammate for next year?
Yeah, I think we are all professional. The boss knows what he wants to achieve with the team, and that's why everyone wanted me to stay. First of all, and then secondly, I think we can all work well together. It's in our interest to make this team very successful.
Fantastic. The more immediate future, though, this weekend, and looking to your home race at Mexico, are these going to be two tracks that should suit you?
I think we should be strong in both of these tracks, aiming to be best of the rest, trying to consolidate that position and trying to score as many points as possible.
News. Williams have signed their first driver for 2019, and it is the man who looks like he's going to wrap up this year's Formula 2 championship, George Russell. Was at the factory when they announced him. Didn't actually know who they were going to announce. They just said, turn up. You need to interview our 2019 driver, and it was George. Lovely lad. Quick too. He'll be, I think, a good fit down here at Williams. Of course, everybody expecting Lance Stroll to be moving on to Force India, as you just heard from Sergio Perez, pretty much confirming that Lance would be there. But how much is Lance looking forward to this weekend here in Austin, on a weekend where, as you can see, the rain is falling, and we know how much Stroll loves the wet and how well he goes in those difficult conditions.
It's great to be back stateside. The weather's not great, but yeah, we could be in for an interesting weekend.
Could be the great equaliser, couldn't it? We're expecting rain throughout tomorrow and into Saturday.
Yeah, I think it will mix things up. We haven't had rain yet this year, like proper rain throughout the weekend, throughout the whole of qualifying. So. Yeah, it only spice things up if you ask me.
4 races left to go for the year. What's your objective, I guess the right way to describe it, for these 4 races? Is it just to hang on and see the season out, or is there anything you can do to help this team into next year?
Well, I'll be I'll be taking it race by race. The approach doesn't really change. I'll be striving to get the most out of myself, the most out of the car. So that's my mindset for the remainder of the season.
Checo confirmed at Force India today. How long until you are?
No comment.
He says he's looking forward to you being his teammate.
Yeah.
Kind of blew that one.
That's touching.
Into the final stretches then of this 2018 season, and the battle for 4th place rages on. Renault have gone tremendously off the boil of late. What can they do to pull it back and to try and fight for that 4th place in the Constructors' Championship? That did seem like something they could do, but of late has seemed to be just getting further and further out of their reach.
Austin is always fun. It's a good track in the wet too, to be honest. And who knows, maybe it's not bad for us, but we'll, take it as it comes, try to make the most of it. And hopefully we can drive.
Do you guys need a bit of an equaliser this weekend?
I don't know if we need. It's always hard to say up front, but that's something, if it's not in your power, not in your hands, there's no point, wasting energy over it or discussing about it. We have to take it as it comes and do the best with what we have.
What is the best? What do you have? Do you have anything new for the next 4 races, or is it as you've had for the last couple and just making do till the end of the season now?
Exactly. Yeah, we have what we have, and that's what we're set up with. And it's going to be a nice, interesting battle and fight till the end of the season. But we're ready for it and quite excited about it.
Can you fight till the end of the season, or is it very much a focus on next year and knowing that the attention and the focus is all on 2019 now? No,
of course we can fight, and we will fight. We have to. We've come all that way, and we're not going to sit here and give up. Of course, I think our race package is not too bad at all. Carlos scored a point in Suzuka even under difficult circumstances, so I think here things should be even again, a little bit better and more for us. So there's no point to put the head in the sand now.
Now, this guy, Pierre Gasly, had the chance to contest the US Grand Prix last year, but missed it because he was racing Super Formula in Japan and went back to Suzuka to contest the last round of the championship. But ultimately, it was rained off, massive typhoon hit, so he never got to do that either, missed both races. So it'll be the first time for him here in Austin. Let's hear from him as he looks towards his first US Grand Prix.
I'm really looking forward to it. Last year was pretty tough. I missed the race to race in the Super Formula final in Suzuka, and the race was cancelled due to a typhoon. So in the end, I ended up watching the US Grand Prix from my sofa in Tokyo, and that was a pretty difficult moment. But yeah, really excited to discover this track. Seems to be one of the best on the calendar. Talking to other drivers, so yeah, really excited.
Japan appeared to be a step forward for you guys from an engine perspective, but something happened on the grid in terms of what you were and weren't allowed to do with the engine. Can you explain exactly what that was?
Yeah, basically because we had a couple of issues in FP2 and FP3. We didn't run much, and we could not really run the qualifying mode and really map the engine as much as we wanted. So in qualifying, I was missing, couple of kilowatts, around 3/10 a lap, and we had like a couple of issues with the oscillations post upshift, which was a concern for the reliability of the engine. So we asked FIA if we could change it for the race, which they first accepted, and finally after the laps to the grid they reverted back, and they told us to put all settings as I had in qualifying. So I lost performance all weekend compared to Brendan on the engine, but we understood why. We know exactly the reason, and we should not face it anymore this weekend.
How bad were the oscillations at the end of the race?
Pretty bad. But then at the end of the day what I want is just performance, so I rather have a quick engine. Even if I get oscillations, it's not a big deal, but unfortunately there was nothing we could do. The team tried to give me some settings to change on the engine, tried to improve it, but there was nothing we could do from the cockpit. But nothing to worry, so it will be all fixed for this weekend.
That big straight down the back of the track here would normally be a weak point for a Honda engine. Are you confident that the upgrade will get you into a place where it's not going to be such a bad thing for you?
Yeah, I think looking at Suzuka, it clearly was a big step forward. Objectively, we are still not where Ferrari and Mercedes stands at the moment, so we still need to keep pushing with that spec to see how much we can extract from it, but they clearly did a really good job so far, and we are still discovering that new spec, so it's all about trying to push it even more, play a bit with the limits, and see how much we will be able to get from the new spec, but clearly we are in a much better position than we were before with the old spec.
The end of Fernando Alonso's Formula One career draws ever closer. 4 races left for him in Formula One and at McLaren. One wonders, having achieved so much and done so much in Formula One, whether there's anything he's going to miss or anything left that he wants to do over the next couple of weeks.
Not really. I think I'm ready to enjoy the time on the car. Every time that I jump in, even an installation lap tomorrow morning, I try to enjoy it. And I'm feeling the G-forces here in this circuit, for example, in the first sector. Things that I'm sure I will miss when I'm not here in F1. But that's on track action. Off track, probably I will not miss much about anything.
Thanks. What does next year hold for you? Because we all want to know.
Still deciding a little bit and finalizing some of the projects. More or less, they are all in my mind now, and it's just a matter of time to sign everything and to confirm everything before announce. But I think it's going to be a quiet season in a way after this 2018 with 28 races. I will not have 28 races, but I will have enough races and important ones that will feel okay. I think for me and hopefully for the fans as well.
So it won't be NASCAR then?
Not NASCAR. No, they have even more races. So no.
And so to Sauber and Mr. Charles Leclerc. Just 4 races left for him before he moves up to the big team at Ferrari. He has turned 21 this week. Happy birthday to Charles, which means he is legally entitled to a glass of champagne after the race on Sunday. But how much is he looking forward to this Grand Prix, a track that he's never driven on and a race which he's never contested?
I really like the country, obviously. I've not been so often here, but the ambience is always great. It doesn't look like it's going to be a sunny weekend, so we'll have to get used to the rain, but I'm happy with this. I really enjoy driving in the rain, and I can't wait to be back on track tomorrow.
You think this is a circuit that will suit you guys?
Yeah, I mean, in the last 2 weekends we have been very strong, so hopefully we can keep that performance this weekend.
Fantastic. And happy birthday. Old enough to drink here now.
Yeah, exactly.
Celebrate.
Yeah, exactly. But I won't be. Because
Sunday night.
No, we have Mexico the week after. I'm a very serious driver, but yeah, it's like this. But at least now I have the possibility to do it in case I want to for the next couple of weeks.
You never know, you might make it onto the podium. Wishful thinking perhaps, but looking towards the end of this season, Lewis on the verge of wrapping up the championship. With you moving to Ferrari next year, should Mercedes and Lewis take the championships this year, how much do you think that will sort of stiffen the resolve at Ferrari next year? What kind of an atmosphere do you think you'll be going into in terms of the determination of the team next year?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's never finished until it's basically done. But yeah, in the case this happens, I'm pretty sure they will be incredibly motivated to try and catch up and turn the things around for next year.
So that is your lot from Paddock Pass here in Austin. This is about as good as the weather's going to get until Sunday. How much running will we get? How much action will we get? I think it's going to be quite an exciting weekend, and it is one of those weekends when anything can happen, when potentially the man with one hand on the title could see it slip away from him, or will it be a race where Lewis Hamilton comes into his own, takes these conditions that we know he excels in, and really monsters and dominates the weekend. Can't wait to see how it all pans out on this great track in this wonderful city. It's fantastic to be back in Austin. It's fantastic to be back in the United States. Join us for everything over the course of the weekend. But for now, from us on Paddock Pass, we'll see you later.